105.7 The Hawk and Tom Cunningham. Always love having guests here in our studio. Always love having our friends from the Jersey Shore music scene here in our studio. No exception this morning. Welcome, Matt O Ree.
Nice to be here.
Oh, it's so good to see you inside the world headquarters here at 105.7 The Hawk. And you had a gig last night, so
We did, yeah.
special thanks for getting up and getting in and making the trip. Maxwell's in Hoboken.
Correct, yeah.
Historic in Bruce Springsteen lore.
Sure.
The Glory Days video, filmed in that very building.
Amazing.
How was the gig last night?
Oh, it's great. I'm just so happy that that place is back to doing music, because
Right.
there was a short time where they were not or closed up. And the people that are running it now are really reminiscing of how it once was, and they're really trying to keep the music scene alive there, which is great.
Right. Now, the night before Thanksgiving, you played a CD release party for Brotherhood at the Pony. And unfortunately, I was not up to going, and all accounts the thing was great, so congratulations.
Thank you.
What's it like to play that stage, to headline the Stone Pony?
It's it's such an amazing venue. Again, the people that work there, the people that run it, it's all about the music there. They really, it's just such a great honor to be on that stage, and how many famous people have been on that stage, and a lot of blood, sweat on that one.
And tears, for sure.
Absolutely.
many tears on that stage. You've always been known as this blues artist.
Sure.
Blues guitarist. Is blues for you a state of mind, a state of being, or just the way you found rock music?
It's pretty much, I guess, all of the above. My mom was a huge Elvis Presley fan, so that I either heard that in my house, or I heard Willie Nelson was the other big thing. And then my brother brought home, Are You Experienced from Jimi Hendrix, and that was like just an eye-opener for anybody who's aspiring to play the guitar. And it really just led down that road, but, and all music, that we love obviously came from, blues artists like Howlin' Wolf and Muddy Waters.
And Homedale, you grew up in Homedale.
I did, yeah, which is funny. It's like doesn't seem like a hotbed for blues musicians. But
the mean streets of Homedale.
I know.
you got to work it and live it there. You mentioned Hendrix. Who were your guitar heroes coming up, and when you were learning to play guitar?
Oh, sure. Obviously Hendrix, as we said. Eric Clapton was a huge influence on me. Roy Gallagher, the Irish guitar player, another big one for me. Robin Troward, Billy Gibbons. The list goes on and on. But and definitely Jimmy Page. And I was huge Jimmy Page fan.
Just ran through the Hawks' entire playlist. Thinking about the E Street Band, you see Nils Lofgren up there, with his own unique guitar style. What do you think of as a guitarist of note yourself when you think of Nils?
Unbelievable. He really just has such a, again, like you said, a unique style of playing. That it's, once you hear it, like 2 seconds of it, it's him. He's such an unbelievable musician too. Just a wealth of knowledge.
Yeah. Now you've been putting out albums for a long time.
Yeah.
Having this one out seems, and rightly so, should be a particular thrill for you.
Absolutely.
Shelf life was a big deal.
Sure. Yeah.
And this album, Brotherhood, took a long time to come together, it seems like.
It was, started to become a running joke of when, it was coming out. But it essentially started in 2009. I was working with John Liedersdorf at Lake House Music in Asbury. And we started, writing some songs together. And then one day I was going to do a session at his place. And Hubert Sumlin, who was Howlin' Wolf's guitar player, who I had previously met him through the Guitar Center contest that I had won in 2006. And Hubert remembered me, so Hubert came in to do his session. And as he was doing his session for another client, I asked Hubert if he'd be interested in playing on my new record. And that's kind of how the whole Brotherhood thing really started. It was really with Hubert. And on down the line, it went trying to acquire more artists to be, a part of this project, and luckily enough, I was able to get Bruce Springsteen to do it.
And Dave Bryan.
Yep,
and
David Bryan and Steve Cropper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Matt O Ree with us here this morning at 105.7 The Hawk on the Bruce Brunch. You mentioned 2006 Guitarmageddon, which is like the greatest name for anything ever. And you won this thing with 4,000 contestants.
I did, yeah.
Dude, I mean, that is like, even when you think about that number, all right, there are 4,000 people who want to do this thing. And then B.B. King and John Mayer were involved.
Sure, yeah.
John Mayer, what a guitarist that guy is.
Fantastic, yeah.
Yeah. What was that like, and what did that do for your career?
I mean, that was a huge springboard, again, from that Shelf Life record that I had put out, independently. And then winning that contest was just really, that huge, hey, I finally really accomplished something here that was out of the ordinary. And it was the first time the Guitar Center had ever done anything like that. And of course, getting a chance to meet B.B. King and John Mayer and Hubert Sumlin, and Rick Nielsen was a judge too from Cheap Trick. And it was, and Cheech Marin was the MC for the night. And I remember when they announced that I was the winner, Cheech Marin's on stage with me, and he's like, well, how do you feel? And it's like, you got every emotion running through you. You can't really pinpoint one. It was a pretty funny, awkward moment with Cheech on stage, because I didn't know what to say.
You run into David Bryan from Bon Jovi, a bar in Red Bank?
Yeah, Jamian's in Red Bank, yeah.
And that forms a relationship?
Yeah, unbelievable friendship, and actually this guitar I'm playing, he gave this to me for my birthday last year.
Oh.
Yeah, it was very, very, very nice of him.
David Bryan, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
And then you ended up on tour last year with Bon Jovi.
Correct, yeah.
But not like in Cleveland or Pittsburgh or even Rome or Paris. You were in
the other side of the world.
You were where were you?
Um,
Where were you, Matt O Ree?
Some of the places I never even heard of until I saw the itinerary. We were in Jakarta, Indonesia, China, Korea. Some of the places I even forget.
Yeah. So you've seen a million faces and rocked them all.
I tried my best.
What was that like to be on that stage with the power that is Bon Jovi?
Talk about a learning experience for me. I mean, being so lucky to be a part of something like that, and getting a chance to see the biggest side of touring. It doesn't get much bigger than that. Him and Springsteen, and I mean, how many names can you name that are still doing that kind of level of touring? So, being able to to see 70,000 people and watch John command the attention of 70,000 people it was such a learning experience, and I can't thank John enough for giving me that opportunity to do that with him.
Beautiful thing, and all week here at the Hawk, we're giving away tickets to see Bon Jovi.
Oh, good.
So
good.
It is a beautiful thing. I'm really a fan of this Brotherhood album, particularly a song called Life.
Yeah.
That it's got this great sense of poignancy and karmicness to it. Where did that song come from?
It was literally the last thing I had done. I was rehearsing for the Bon Jovi tour, and I had written this guitar riff someplace in Kentucky, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, on a sound check. And thank God for technology, because you got your iPhone now and you hit your little voice recorder, and I have hundreds and hundreds of riffs that I just that sounds pretty cool. Let me grab that. So I went back and revisited some material on my phone, and sure enough found that riff and started writing a song, and it wound up becoming my anthem, I guess, of that time in my life of leaving for this major world tour with John. And from going straight from Jamian's, essentially, a 200-seat, standing room bar, to 70,000 people on the other side of the world.
Crazy.
And I remember John saying to me, it's just like any other gig. I was like, I think it's a little different, but thanks for the encouragement.
Yeah, it's not the Wonder Bar, but
no.
Yeah,
it'll be fine.
If you could play that one for us.
Sure, I would love to.
I'd love to hear it. So, Matt O Ree, and this is Life on the Bruce Brunch here at 105.7 The Hawk.
Life keeps passing me by. The hands on a clock ticking away. Every day that has passed, and I still want everything. No matter how hard I try, it's always out of reach. There ain't no stopping me now. And all that life has to teach. Tomorrow's never promised to you, my friend. So make every minute count. There's nothing you can do but struggle again. And take every moment in. Life's gonna change. I never thought of myself to all the rules of life. Most people think about money, yeah, the kids and the car and the wife. It doesn't matter which way, just don't give up your fight. For me, I live every day, just waiting to feel that spotlight. Tomorrow's never promised to you, my friend. So make every minute count. There's nothing you can do but struggle again. And take every moment in. Tomorrow's never promised to you, my friend. So make every minute count. There's nothing you can do but struggle again. And take every moment in. Yeah, tomorrow's never promised to you, my friend. So make every minute count. And if that struggle puts you down again, just make sure you play to win. Life's gonna change. Life's gonna change. Life's gonna change. Life's gonna change. Yeah, yeah.
Wow. Matt O Ree, live on the Bruce Brunch at 105.7 The Hawk Life. Thank you.
Thank you.
I love everything about that song.
Me too.
Especially this time of year.
Yeah.
End of the year, change coming.
Sure.
People trying to renew. Okay, what's going on? What can I do in the new year? And life, it plays out, and you get to make some changes. And there are changes that come that you don't see coming.
This is true.
And it hits you sometimes right between the eyes like a fastball that you're not you're not looking for. Not O Ree. So the Brotherhood CD. Where can folks find this guy?
It is. I think it'll be on iTunes listed this week.
Oh, good.
It was actually listed last week, but there was a glitch someplace in the system, so I know they're fixing that to get that right. And it's available on our website too as well, cdbaby.com. It's also there
And at
too.
your shows.
At the shows, of course.
What?
The show's the better place to get it because you can get the physical copy, and as we know as audio people, it sounds much better.
Yeah, I have to have the
Me too.
the physical copy. What are you gonna do? Do you have shows coming up? What do you got here as the year winds down?
There's a I think there's going to be one more surprise show, possibly at the Wonder Bar.
We just ruined that surprise.
No, this is true. Well, it's still not confirmed, so it could be a surprise if not happening.
Hey, Debbie, surprise!
And then of course the holidays hit, and not much for New Year's for us this year, which is okay. You know, it's kind of an amateur night anyway. But
Yeah. One of the great things that happens in our part of the world in January is Light of Day.
That's coming up, yeah.
And one of the great things for me is introducing bands at Light of Day. And I somehow always seem,
Yep.
not by accident, to introduce the Matt O Ree band.
Always happy when you do.
Which is something that I just love to do. Sometimes Bruce Springsteen shows up at Light of Day.
Yes.
And one of the things that I get to observe is him interacting with other musicians,
Sure.
especially, younger folks who perhaps aren't as established.
Yep.
And he's so generous with people. And I wish people could see that go on, because I saw Nicole Atkins once, like, levitate. After she got done talking to her, she just kind of floated past me. I was like, "Hey, Nicole, what's it like in that kind of situation when you get a little blessing from the boss?"
It's just getting a chance to talk to him. We had a chance at the Wonder Bar one night, have a couple of drinks together, and I remember asking Bruce about sound systems of the '60s and '70s and what was it like to not have wedge monitors so you can hear yourself on stage. And he just lit up, and it was one of the greatest conversations of just hanging out with, talking shop,
Yeah.
with Bruce Springsteen. It was such an amazing conversation, and I cherish that because it's just when you get a chance to talk to him, it's just it's very humbling talking to Bruce.
Bruce is on the Brotherhood album.
He is, yeah.
And there's a great story about how he ends up on. So you give guitar lessons.
I do. I have for quite some
Yeah,
time.
as many working musicians do. And one of your students was.
Well, it was amazing how there was one from one student to word of mouth to the next student to word of mouth to my friend who owned the gym who I taught, and then he introduced me to another person who wanted this. Anyway, long story short, eventually led to me teaching this kid, and he asked me if his friend would, is it okay for his friend to hang out for the lesson? So I said, sure, of course. And we started jamming together, and this one kid's playing piano, and I'm thinking, God, he looks so familiar. And then it dawned on me that it was Bruce's son. I was like, wow, that's amazing. So funny enough, so I think that was one of the last few lessons I had taught before I went to Chicago to compete in the Guitar Center contest. So I'm at the final round of Chicago and meet B.B. King and did my thing and wound up winning it. And then I'm in the audience with my friends who drove out from Chicago, from New Jersey to Chicago, having some drinks. Some of my bandmates were there, and the next thing I know, I get a voicemail from Patty, saying, "Hey, would you come teach, our son?" And it was just an ironic day of like winning this guitar contest, and Bruce's wife is calling me.
See, now Danny Clinch had a day where both Bob Dylan and Bruce hired him on the same day.
Wow.
This is the same day.
Sure, absolutely.
Guitarmageddon
Yeah.
and Patty Scoufus Springsteen on line one.
I know. And I wound up being, quite some time of teaching his son, and he's been such a dear friend to me. I really feel like he's my little brother kind of relationship with him. And had spent so many great laughs, just hanging in his room, just strumming on some guitars. Anyway, so long story short, he had asked me for, a copy of something I was working on, and I was like, okay, let me dig up a CD for you and get your opinion on it. And so next week I show up for the lesson, and he's like, Matt, I really like the song that you did, which was Black Boots. And I was like, oh, do you have any critique on it? And he's like, well, I don't know if I do, but I know my dad really liked it. And I was like, wait, you played it for your dad? And he's like, yeah. Why did you do that? I was like, well, I thought my dad would like it too. And sure enough, Bruce wound up liking the song. I had seen Bruce, that after that lesson or the next week, and Bruce mentioned that he liked the song, so I had to muster up every ounce of courage to ask him to play on it, and that's essentially how it went.
Well, how do you get the moxie? I was going to say cajones or another euphemism there.
Yes.
How do you moxie into that conversation?
It was, standing in his driveway, and he's like, man, I really like that song that you wrote, and I was like, thank you so much, and that means the world, But that's again how great of a person Bruce is. He's and even after I had asked him to play on it, it was more, Bruce is all about the music. It's all about the art. It's not about the accolades or the monetary any of that stuff. He doesn't care about any of that. He cares about the song and the art. And that was another cool thing of like just chatting about him performing on that song. And just seeing that Bruce was like, I want to add something to the song, and sure enough, he did.
Now, were his parts recorded at his studio?
Correct, yeah.
Yeah. And so do you get in there and get to tell him what to do? Hey, play it that way, mister.
No, I wasn't even there, but I know, according to the engineers, that they were like, Bruce was dancing around the studio having a great time, and he really had a good time playing on your song. So
that's awesome.
I was very happy to hear that.
You go back and forth on guitar.
We do, yeah.
With this thing.
I had initially asked Bruce to play a guitar solo, and then as the time went along, and Bruce's schedule got busy, I wound up changing band members, and we re-recorded a bunch of stuff. So that was the other reason for the long-awaited album. But so Bruce finally had the time to finish the song for me, and it was It was a long time ago. Anyways, after asking Bruce, to play the guitar solo, I said, hey, whatever you feel like doing, and Bruce wound up singing half the song with me and doing the guitar solo. It was really, such an honor. He's done it all. He's such an amazing artist.
Wow, what a great story.
Thank you.
And well, let's play it now. Black Boots, Matt O Ree, thank you for being here today.
My pleasure.
I'll see you at light of day.
I hope so.
Oh, I will. And
I hope you bring us on.
I fully intend to. And the Wonder Bar, the surprise show at the Wonder Bar, I'll be there.
Possibly on the, I think it's the 23rd, if that goes through.
Right. We just
There's no surprise.
There's no surprises. Folks want to find you on social media.
Sure.
How do they keep in touch with you there?
It's everything is just mattoree.com or Facebook/Matt O Ree. You'll find us, no problem.
All right. Again, I can't thank you enough. Brotherhood. I'm a big fan of this record. I've known Dave Bryan since the first Bon Jovi album came out.
Sure.
Known Tico since Frankie and the Knockouts were around.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
I've seen all these dudes, and it's so cool that you are in the mix with this. Matt O Ree, thank you.
Thank you.
For being here today. And from Brotherhood, this is Matt O Ree, this is Bruce Springsteen on the Bruce Brunch at the Hall.